Alright guys, apologies for the wind today. So you just want to start off by chocking all your wheels and getting your jack under the axle there, close as you can get to the wheel. And once you got that jacked up, put a jack stand under it. And while you've got your wheel off the ground, it's a good idea just to shake it and then give it a spin, see how it sounds. This one's got the brake caliper on there, so it sounds like it's rubbing a tad, but yeah, basically take all your four nuts off and take the wheel off, a bit easier to manage. So I'm sort of cheating here. I've got the Milwaukee. Take your wheel nuts off and get the wheel off. Yeah, so once you got your wheel off, you've got to just knock the bearing body off and take the caliper off so you can take the hub off. And forgot to mention the wheel nuts are 21mm, so save you farting around a bit trying to find the right socket. Alright, to get the caliper off, there's a 16mm bolt down the bottom and a 16mm bolt at the top to hold it on. And this is the harder one to do. The rest of the back end of the video, it's all done on a hub without a brake caliper. So I thought I'll show you both. And yeah, you just got a cable holding it on. Won't need to disconnect that. So I'll only one-handed here, so I'll loosen those off and show you when it's done. Alrighto, so after a few curse words, I managed to get this brake caliper. And to get these guys off, you just want to use your knockometer and basically just tap it, sort of hitting outwards and slowly working it off. Use something with a soft face so you don't ding it, and eventually it will come off. There we go. So yeah, the grease in that one doesn't look too healthy. What you got to do now is you'll have your split pin bent over, and you just got to bend the legs back and then just grab it and rip it out, and then should be finger tight, but that one seems to be a bit tighter. So yeah, you might need a nut fucker to get it off. And basically, once you get all that off, you can take your hub off. Behind the nut you'll have a washer, and you'll just want to get that out. You can just pull the hub off and it will all come out as one piece, but I'm just doing this one-handed. So yeah, grab your washer and put that away out of the dirt, and then you'll just have your bearing assemblies, and that will fall out as you pull it off. Alright, I'll do that part now. So I got lucky enough that the grease seal came out with the brake hub assembly. You can see that the grease has been quite contaminated by water, so I sort of bit this one in the butt before it gave me too much grief. But yeah, other than that, it was just time to put new bearings in after a year or so. Get the grease seal out. Yeah, so that larger bearing seemed to be quite stuck on this shaft here and the grease seal. Looks like there's a little divot here, so I'm going to give that a bit of a sand down just so it's smooth. But yeah, it might have been just how it was installed. It's only it's a pretty new trailer, so I've never done a bearing change yet on this trailer. So yeah, you might encounter these problems, but yeah, it's not too bad. So I think that might have been why the bearing was sort of stuck on there. Alright. Yeah, so I've got myself some Scotch-Brite, just some fine stuff, and just to sand that divot out a little bit. It's it more than enough does the job just to smooth that surface over, so don't get the bearing hung up on there next time. Yeah, you just got to be careful, like especially with your grease seal mating surface. That's got to be pretty clean, otherwise you'll rip up your seal, and then all your grease will leak out, and then she's good for nothing. And basically with these disc brakes hubs, same as the other hub there. So what I do is just a bit of preventative is maintenance. It's just coat all these surfaces with a bit of lanolin grease where you're not going to be able to get to very easy, and then that should just stop it from corroding and binding up, because I just find it very hard to get a hose in here to rinse it out and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of just in a prick of a spot. So yeah, just bit of preventative stuff to do on your trailer while you got your bearings off. So to knock out the bearing race, you just need like a pin punch and a hammer, and just prop it up so that's not touching the surface, and you just tap it around and knock it out. You stop it. Yeah, so when you got it out, it should look like something like this, and then you just do the opposing side, the smaller side, and just tap around until it eventually comes out. Once you've managed to punch out the inner and outer bearing races, you can take your grinder or die grinder and shave off a bit of the outside of the bearing race. That way it fits in back in smoothly, so you can knock in your new bearing race with the old one, because it's quite recessed down, so you won't be able to knock it all the way in with a hammer. And I want to just give all that a bit good clean up, but I'll grind these down, come back, and then show you how it's done. Alright, cheers. Righto, I've ground off about a quarter off these bearing races with the die grinder, and all that allows for you to do is when you put in your new race and it's sitting flush, it won't be butted up against the lip here. So you just use your ground down bearing race with the thin side in, and you can just use that to drive home the bearing. And then when you want to get it out, you can just get it out easy enough with your hands. Alright, just a little hack, and made one for the thin side as well. Alright, there you go, guys. Just want to show you for Dunbier trailers anyway, how to work out what sort of bearing you got there. So depending on the axle size, whether it's square or round. So I've just got a veneer on my axle, stub axle there, and this light's killing it, but that's 45mm there, and it's square, and depending on what you measure, might be like 46, so around those lines, and all that means is just a bit more galvanized coating on there. So according to this, it is a 45 square mil axle, which I believe is a Ford Slimline or Ford SL bearing kit. And you'll see earlier in the video I've shown you the NSK bearing part numbers. And yeah, what was a bit odd was on the right hand side of the trailer there was all NSK bearings on the tandem trailer, and on the passenger side, or left hand side, it was all Chinese DT, I believe anyway. So yeah, just a little tip for Dunbier trailers. There you go, guys. Been down to State Wides and picked myself up 4 kits for the trailer. This is the part number. It's the box there. These are NSK bearings. This is for the larger size. That's the part number there. And this is for the smaller size. Part number there. There's nothing else really on the box to mention. And this is a grease seal. It's a one piece. Let's see if I can get part number to focus. Where are we? Yeah, it's not coming up too well, but hopefully you can pick that up. And yeah, that's a one piece grease seal. And yeah, basically I'm going to try and put these bearing races in the freezer and heat up this hub, and then hopefully they just go in Mickey Mouse like it says on the comments on bloody YouTube. So we'll see how we go. Cheers. Just in case you didn't pick it up on the video, this is the part numbers for the outer bearing race, and that's the part number on the larger bearing. Little focus. There you go. And part number on the smaller bearing race, and part number on the smaller bearing. Alright guys, so I've got the bearing races in the freezer still. What I'm going to do is preheat this hub assembly just around where the bearing races go. I've seen it mentioned before that you can put it in the oven or put it out in the sun. Sun's starting to go down, so I've got this. If you had a bigger blowtorch, probably would be better, but yeah, if you just evenly heat up the hub assembly, imagine the idea behind it is that the metal expands and then the bearing races shrink, so we'll see how it works. I'm hoping then it's a bit easier than having to hit everything in with a punch set. If it just slots in, that'd be perfect, but we'll see how it goes. Cheers. Alright guys, hub's preheated, bearing race is fresh out of the freezer. Hopefully you can see the frost. See how she goes. Not quite as easy as slipping it in, but we'll give it a hit with the soft face mallet and work it around. I mean, it is going in, but definitely doesn't just slip in like I've heard previously. So yeah, you're gonna have to belt these in, guys. Alright guys, so managed to get that flush. My sidekick's gone, so down to one-handed. So basically just hammered around the edge till it just evenly, sort of, so I didn't get it in off center or anything, and then just, yeah, basically this just slides out and that's sent home. So I mean, I think it's easier having one surface hot and the other one cold. Seems to have helped, like, go in, haven't had to heat it too hard or damage anything, so I think it's worthwhile doing. I'll try the other side and see if that helps. Yet again, just heating the hub and just to expand the service. Sorry, a bit repetitive, but I haven't found a video that sort of goes step by step. Well, Australian hubs and all that stuff on YouTube. Just thought I'd do a sort of one that you can do at your house without any special tools, and yeah, hopefully you can bear with it. Alright, thanks. Alright, this is round 2 with the smaller side. This has been in the freezer for about an hour. Get it out of the packet. So yeah, hopefully you see the frost on it. But I forgot to mention, just make sure the big side, the fat side goes down, and this one seems a lot looser. So just send this one home, get it all flush. So that's in there. Basically what you do is get the thin side of the race, put it against that, and then tap that in to send it all the way home. But yeah, I've lost my helper, so I'll do that off camera. Alright, cheers. And then yeah, I mean, the freezer and heating up trick worked okay. Maybe I got to freeze it longer, maybe I got to heat it longer. You know, probably took me about a minute to whack it in, and yeah, as you can see, I've got the old sleeve and the new sleeve in there, so that's fully recessed, and then that just slides out. And yeah, that's your hub bearing races in. Your beauty. What you want to do is get yourself some bearing grease and put a dollop on your hand, and then grab your bearing, and then just take little bites of it, work it around, and slowly pack the grease in until it works its way out the top. It'd be much easier if you have a bearing packer, but I can't justify getting one at this stage when you can just do it like this. And yeah, just slowly keep working it until you see it come through. You can, easier if you use gloves, you can go see your doctor and borrow a pair from him. As you can see, the grease is pushed all the way through. And yeah, and then just do bloody 10 more sets. Alright, what you want to do before you put your grease seal in is just cover the bearing race in grease, and you have to pop in the larger bearing before you put the grease seal on, which I forgot to do. So if you're careful, you can rescue it, but if you're not, well, you have to get yourself another grease seal or run the gauntlet with the one that you pulled out. They're not super easy to get out, but you don't want to fill the hub up all the way, but you want enough there to do the job. So that should do it. One for good luck. And you want to get your bearing that you've already packed, and it'll only go in one way. You put that in, and that sits there like that. And then what you want to do is pop your grease seal in, and I'll get a video of that in a sec. Alright, so another thing I'd like to mention, I didn't before, is you should pack the back of your grease seal with grease. There's like a spring in there, it's quite hollow. This just saves it from drying out and helps give a good seal. And yeah, you just want to place that in there and drive it in. Alright, cheers. What you want to do is get a block of wood and evenly tap your seal in, and once it's flush, you know it's in properly. And that's the small side, and then you do the same thing on the other side. And what you want to do is cover the small bearing race in grease, and yeah, don't be too stingy with it. As long as you don't fill all the way to the top, should be right. And yeah, just want to make sure that bearing race has got plenty of grease on it. And then when you pre-packed small bearing, you want to put that in smaller side in under the bearing race, and now that's pretty much ready to go onto the hub. Alright, so yeah, apply a good amount of grease to your stub axle. It helps not to be stingy with this stuff, because yeah, the better that they're lubricated, everything's easier to look after, and yeah, you won't have to replace it. So yeah, do that, and then ready for the axle, the hub to go back on. Alright, so now your hub assembly is all put together and you've got your stub axle all cleaned up. You just want to insert your hub back on, and if you've got it greased up nicely, it'll go on nice and easy. So that's that, and then you just have to put this washer back on, and the castle nut and the split pin. Okay, so you put your washer back on, and then your castle nut. The other thing worth mentioning is you should rotate your tyres while you're doing this. So I chuck the left hand rear onto the right hand front, and then the right hand front onto the left hand rear, and that should just help with even wear, because yeah, some tyres wear a bit more than others depending on which way you're turning all the time. Alright, there you go guys, just want to go over a few things before I mount this wheel up. I normally coat the inner hub with this Lanotec Type A grease, and then on the hub surface there as well, and the threads, just stops all the wheel nuts from corroding and can't get them off. You normally spray down the leaf spring with some like Lanotec heavy duty or steel seal, which I just got in one of these sprayers. Get everything where you can't normally reach, and then just to protect the rubber, I put this Aerospace 303 protectant just onto the rubber of the tyre, on the inside where you normally can't get while you got the wheel off. And I just find you always get rust in between the edge of the rim here and the bead, so I just get the straw on this with this Lanotec heavy duty, and then just spray it around the edge of the rim there. This is all extra stuff, just a bit of preventative stuff, but yeah, I find it helps for the long run. Alright. Righto guys, so I've fitted up the wheel. I've just run the nuts on with the Ooga-Dooga. So once you get it back on the ground, once you're happy with the tightness of the nut, you just have to use the torque wrench to get them up to 100 foot-pounds. I think that's what Dunbier specs are anyway. I'll have to do a little bit less because I've got lube on the thread, so I just imagine that'd be a dry torque setting, so you might want to just back it off a little bit, and so you don't bugger the studs, but I would imagine there would be a bit of leeway with them. But I'll just go through, so with Dunbier, they just say on their manual there, I'll just put that up there, so if you want to read, you can pause the video. I've got the part number there circled for the Dunbier kits, much the same price as the better quality ones, and yeah, basically it just says it should be replaced, bearings should be repacked or replaced every 6 months, which is fucking crazy, but anyway, who's got time for that? And for a quick check, jack up the wheel, give it a wobble side to side, and if there is any slack in the bearing, you will need to retighten axle nut and give the wheel a spin. If noisy, then change the bearings, blah blah blah. So to get the setting right on this nut for the bearings, this one here, the NSK manual says what you should do is using the socket, tighten the adjusting nut while turning the wheel, tighten only until you feel drag, and then back off the adjusting nut until it's loose, then retighten approximately a quarter turn, and the wheel should turn freely with no play in the bearing when you attempt to shake the wheel. So I'll demonstrate that, and yeah. So you just want to turn the wheel and give it a bit of a shake, see how it feels. So it feels like it's that's hand tight, so you want to tighten it until you feel drag. So I'm just doing this one-handed, so I'll put a bit more on there, a little bit more. Yeah, there's definitely drag there now, so you want to just back it off till it's loose. And you can turn it with your hand. This thread's not machined too great on this, but that's pretty loose. And then you want to just tighten it quarter of a turn. So if this is 12 o'clock, you want to just go to 3 o'clock. And that's it. That's spinning freely, no drag, and yeah, just put your cotter pin through, and it says you should replace them, but you can bend them out if you have to. So I've torqued that nut up, and installed the split pin. I'll just mention that where it was at 3 o'clock, the hole didn't quite line up, so I just backed off a little bit rather than tightening to get to the nearest hole, because it's probably a tiny bit looser than it over tightened. And if you really want to be precise, you can get shims behind it, or you can shave a bit off the back of the nut to get the exact adjustment. But yeah, we'll just see how these bed in, and after a bit of driving, they might need adjusting anyway, so play it by ear. With these, they're just a press fit, so you just want to get these started and work your way around the circumference with your soft face mallet, and once it's all seated, that's how they sit. If they're really loose, I've heard about people putting Loctite on them to hold them in place. But yeah, basically just a friction fit. I just want to mention about bearing buddies. These are just a knockoff version that came with the trailer. You don't need to fill them with grease before you whack them on. Basically, they're not there designed to grease the bearings, and if they were, then they'd only get the front unless you pump the whole hub full of grease, and you don't want to do that because you've got to allow it for room for expansion. So all they're there to do is to keep positive pressure in your hub assembly for when you're dunking it in the water. So you don't really want these on for long trips, because you can get too much of a pressure in the system, you can blow out your seal. So I've been suggested by the statewide bearings to knock them off when going on really long trips. Otherwise, short trips, you just want to make sure that they've got a little pump full of grease and they feel firm. They're not stiff, because if they're stiff, they're just bedding out. They're just bedding out on the circlip inside, and you don't want them all the way flush to the end here of this circlip here. You want them just sort of in the middle, just so they feel firm, and that just means the grease just displaces a bit of the air in there, and just holds pressure. So yeah, I used to think that you had to fill them all the way full of grease, and turns out I was probably busting all the bloody grease seals on my trailer. So yeah, a bit of education goes a long ways for these things. So yeah, so I'm just torquing all these wheel nuts up to 100 foot-pounds. Alright guys, something a bit peculiar here. Was just cleaning up these bearings and the races, because they came out quite easily actually, and I noticed a bit of like a red compound in the wheels. So I think they've used like red Loctite, the permanent stuff, to help hold these races in. But yeah, they weren't in very well, so it doesn't seem like very good practice. Now this one's can't really make out the numbers, but it's a DLT part. The smaller bearing is DLT. Where are we? LM. I'll just read it out. LM12749. Now that's the smaller bearing, and then the larger one, DLT. It's got a mark on it, Y024 L68149, and then the bearing race, the larger one, LM67010, I believe, and that's got B018 on that. DLT if that helps anyone, and then the reseal's the same. Guest Australia 28600. Oh yeah, so the other side had NSKs, which is the Japanese variants, which I think might be a higher quality. Don't know what the machining's like on these, but came out really loose, and this larger bearing was stuck on the shaft. So yeah, not quite sure what's going on there, but yeah, we'll see how the NSKs fit up to this wheel bearing. I'll clean all this goop and stuff off it, and yeah, that's an important thing to mention, that when you put on new races bearings, on this little Mickey Mouse, you don't want any rubbish in there. Another thing I've found is just it just seems to be poor machining of or poor manufacture of these castle nuts in some of the grooves. There was chunks of metal that sort of were just sitting there, so you just got to be careful, because that could end up in your bearings and destroying them premature. So just give everything a good inspection, make sure nothing looks out of the ordinary. But yeah, these are sort of the bottom of the range sort of trailers, so yeah, I guess you get what you pay for. So just I mean, doesn't mean they're not good, just got to keep an eye out for things. Alright, cheers guys.